let me give a personal shout out to Joaquin Phoenix. You truly deserve the Academy Award this year for this very, compelling role that you did in the Joker. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to KRSTV. This is your boy Kenny. Now remember, subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow all the information I have in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And this is my review of the movie Joker. This was a really good film. It was very thought-provoking, and it's a psychological thriller starring Joaquin Phoenix, who won the Academy Award this year for Best Actor for this role, and he did a phenomenal job. Also, let me give a personal shout out to my good friend Corwin Armstrong. He was the one who he's a friend of mine who came to town to visit, and he brought the movie, and I watched it with him, and I was immediately, I was an instant fan of this film. I thought it was very well done. I thought the subject matter was great, and I just thought the execution was everything. And pretty much what Joker is about is pretty much the psychological representation of what created the Joker character in the whole Batman series. And pretty much it's set in Gotham, within, around 1981, I believe. And it's during the time, in actual New York, where there was a lot of poverty, a lot of unemployment, and a lot of inflation. So New York was in a really bad state where a lot of crime, a lot of robbery, and a lot of mischief was going on during that time due to the failed economy during that era. And pretty much Joaquin plays the role of Arthur Fleck, who's Joker, and we really see how pretty much what he is that he's a clown in a comic, and he also is a party clown by trade, but is also an aspiring stand-up comedian. And we really see that even though he lives in the world of comedy, he has a very tragic, traumatic, and depressing life. The character actually somewhat reminded me of Rigoletto from Verdi's opera, where his job is to make everybody happy and to make everybody laugh, but he's the most miserable, and that misery and that pain and that grief turns into madness. And we literally see how Arthur, literally turns into madness, and he also suffers from this psychological condition that gives him this crazy laugh, and he laughs when things aren't funny. Joaquin Phoenix executed this so well. That laugh had me laughing. Like, it was more like I was like, what the hell? It was crazy. And we literally see this character Arthur go through so much. We see him being portrayed by one of his co-workers at work. We see how much of a negative impact his mother had on his life. We see how he's, constantly a target for violence and brutalization, and how when you're constantly faced with so much negativity and so much trauma, eventually it's enough to make you go mad. And due to the fact that the economy was bad, he was no longer able to get medication for his condition, so he just went completely bonkers. And we also see that he tries to get onto this. He actually strikes up strikes up a connection with this guy Maury Anderson, who kind of is like the Johnny Carson of that era, and he's played by Academy Award winner Robert De Niro. And the interaction was interesting because we see later on that he falls for this girl Sophie, but it's a twist with the whole Sophie situation because he's really fallen for her. She's this beautiful black woman who's a single mother, but there's a twist with her whole existence. And then he does this comedy routine, but he completely nosedives. It just went flat. None of the jokes landed. He pretty much bombed. And here it is, Murray was using clips from his comedy routine and was making a mockery of him. And then later on, he invites him on the show. And when he gets on that show, Arthur goes bonkers. He literally starts going in saying that what I am is a product of when you mistreat people with psychological issues and people who don't fit in and people who are marginalized. There's an uproar when we're constantly neglected and made fun of and we're not respected. Eventually, we're gonna go on a rampage. And then he starts kind of shading Murray, and he's like calling him Murray. It was so hilarious. But then we see that what he does is create a movement of jokers where all of them are rejects, psychological patients, or people who are impoverished, people who have really been badly affected by the devastating economy in Gotham, and they literally go on a rampage. And it was actually from this scenario where the actual Joker who killed Bruce Wayne's parents derived from. And that he was kind of the spark that created that Joker. So it was like rather interesting. And then also it shows that he actually had a connection to Bruce Wayne's father, Thomas, who was this very rich business tycoon, and he owned Wayne Enterprises, and pretty much he was an evil bastard. But he supposedly he was the father. He was his long lost father because his mother had a secret affair with him, because of course Thomas was married, and that he was pretty much the unwanted child. But then he also finds out even more stuff about how his mother in a way screwed up his life, and that she never really protected him, and this alone drives him mad. And then we see that this turns him into a serial killer, where he just starts killing people left and right, especially the ones who have wronged him. So I suggest you guys check out this movie. I give it 4 stars. It was great. I was so into this movie because it really goes to show how comedy and tragedy go hand in hand. And sometimes, the best comedians are the most tragic figures. And this psychological thriller really presents and examines that. So that's what I have, y'all. If you checked out this movie, get down in those comments and let me know your thoughts on this movie. I was a great fan, and shout out to Joaquin Phoenix, because he's not only did an impeccable job in this movie, but I really appreciate how he's really telling the truth to the Hollywood establishment of the systemic racism and marginalization of other races within the entertainment industry. He did a speech about it at the BAFTA, and he also addressed it after he won his Academy Award. So So shout out to him. And I also liked how he also paid homage to his brother, the late River Phoenix. So that's what I have, everybody. So until next time, take care.